Hello YouTube, Reddit Math here, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Roleplay Darkest Dungeon. With a new game and a new format for the channel. Let's first talk a little bit about the game itself. Darkest Dungeon was an indie Kickstarter game developed by Red Hook, which is their first game. They did Kickstarter with a fairly modest asking that ended up far exceeding those goals, leading to a number of Kickstarter stretch goals, one of which we're kind of going to see today, which is a new Hound Master class that we're going to be seeing throughout this playthrough. No guarantees we're going to be able to pick him up in this video, of course, but he will be there eventually. The game went into early access on Steam in February of this year. It's due out for release. I believe they're looking for October of 2015. Although the game is largely complete, the only thing really missing is kind of the final dungeon and final boss, which they've already said will be waiting until the release day to keep people excited for that. And so I felt like this was a good time with the new build coming out today for me to kind of get back into the game and check out what there is to offer. With that, we're also going to be trying kind of a new format for the video. You might be thinking that I just can't spell, but I promise I'm not bad at spelling, just Reddit math. And the two L's in roleplay is intentional. It's harkening back to the days when role-playing games involved dice and tables and pens and paper. The idea there was something that I used to do back in high school. Sometimes me and my friends, when we would roleplay, we wouldn't want to just get together and do, epic story stuff. That was fun sometimes, but other times we just wanted a fistful of dice to tell us how hard we had just punched Cthulhu in the face. And we would refer to those as role-playing sessions with two L's, since the dice and the combat and that sort of stuff were more important than telling the deep and intricate story of how one of our characters' fathers was betrayed and now we're seeking justice. So instead, we're going to try to apply that to here, and you're going to see me attempt to kind of build out a little bit of the role-playing elements of this kind of tactical RPG dungeon crawling game, as well as just a focus more on the narrative. Down in the description, you're going to see some links to some timestamps, as well as sort of the Cliff Notes version of what's going on in the episode. That way, if you miss something or you're joining this series long after it started and you want to kind of get caught back up, you can read over that and just kind of watch the highlight reel. But if you're more interested in the long-form tactical role play of everything, then you'll be able to watch the full videos and still get that full experience. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and dive into the story of Darkest Dungeon. Now we're sitting at the title screen, so we're going to back up for just a second, and I'm going to rewatch the intro cinematic and let you guys experience that.
Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Oh man, the narrator is just so good in this. That is definitely one of many positives about this game, is the narration is absolutely fantastic. We're going to go ahead and we're going to be starting a new save. I'm going to name it Red. And then we've got another cutscene that's going to be coming up in just a second. Basically, the story so far is we're looking at receiving a letter from one of our ancestors inviting us back to kind of the family estate of our youth, telling us the tale of unearthing dark secrets and kind of begging us to come back and deal with the mistakes that he has made. And so we set out on our journey to revisit the estate, and this next cutscene should basically cover what's going to happen there. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
All right then. I'm going to do my best not to talk over the narrator, at least in the beginning, while he's trying to give story points to us. So after this short load screen, whenever he starts talking again, I will be shutting up for a moment, and then we'll jump into some gameplay, and I can explain what the heck is going on in this game. All right. Okay, so there are going to be a number of tutorial pop-ups in the beginning. I'll mostly be skipping over these as I can do a pretty decent job of explaining what's going on. It's basically telling us that right now we're in a room, and that in order to make our way into the next room, we're looking at the map down here, and we're going to want to choose our destination. This tutorial, rather simplistic, as we only have one other room to go to. You can see in the background here, our stagecoach has crashed, and we are now making our way to the family estate on foot.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
All right, and now we've gotten our first warning that there are brigands in the woods that we're going to need to deal with. We can move in these hallways using, I would say WASD, but really the S key never comes into play, so just kind of an A and D keys. You can also click. Also, if you move backwards, you just saw there, bad things can happen to us. We're going to go ahead and head towards our first enemy.
Thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
All right, and so to start out with, we've just got a two-character party, rather. Dismas, the highwayman, he's going to go first. Probably our best choice in this situation is going to be Open Vein. They have redesigned the UI elements. That was one of the things that got updated in this, which gave us some kind of different readout for the way that's working. Oh, as I take a look at that, basically, here to hit chance 53%. We've got a 5% chance to crit, and our damage should be in the 5 to 10 range, assuming we do not crit. So we got 5 at the low end, but we did inflict bleed, which is going to do a continuous 2 damage per round for the next 3 rounds. Of course, I don't think this enemy is going to survive nearly that long. We're going to now have a Crusader here. Reynauld smites him.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Ooh.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
And I think we just saw the first inkling of the new corpse system that is going to be happening as of this update. You saw him kind of fall into a little pile there. I think that means that enemies are not going to automatically shift forward when their compatriots die, but we're going to have to find that one out on our own. Alright, now as we approach this interactive object, it is telling us that we can interact with it. I'm going to have Dismas check out the brigand tent. If we had items applicable to this, we could drop them in here for different effects. We don't have any of those items right now, so we're just going to check inside. They did leave behind valuables.
Unchecked. There is much to be found in forgotten places.
Yes, there is. 600 gold, in fact, which is pretty awesome. Now, you are probably noticing that the game is getting a little bit darker as we're moving forward. Good time as any to mention the torchlight system up here at the top. It is slowly going to crank down as we progress, and it has varying effects, increasing the stress, the chance that we're surprised, but also increasing our critical hit chance and the amount of loot that we can find. So it's kind of, there's a little bit of risk versus reward. I'd say in the beginning, maybe it's worthwhile to start out with high light, and then as you get a little bit better at the game, move into kind of high darkness runs. As we move into the next room.
An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
We encounter an ambush. And this one's going to be a little bit more complex. Ooh, I like that. The little, like, winged skull that moves back and forth. That's pretty neat. Alright. We do have a large character. He takes up 2 slots at the beginning, so this guy is actually in the 3rd slot, and that's going to become important because our abilities here, as you can see, like Open Vein is something that Dismas can use from any of the first 3 slots in our party lineup, but it can hit the first 2 slots of the enemy party. Right now, this guy is the first 2 slots of the enemy party, so Open Vein can't get back there. Of course, we do have Pistol Shot. We could use that. I think I'm going to focus, though, on the Bloodletter and make the classic mistake of attacking the enemy tank and ignoring their long-range guy in the back that he's trying to protect. I think it's going to work out just fine. I have Renauld here. His stunning blow has a potential to stun the enemy, preventing him from acting, and I would really, have loved to have seen that. Unfortunately, he resisted the stun and had a Rain of Whips, which had its own status effect, causing a little bit of bleed. I think it's going to be okay. I'm down to 14. Really just one good hit. Should be able to take him out. I am going to be a little interested to see... Oh, snap. How the corpse mechanic is going to come into play here. You just saw there the point-blank shot actually moved my character back. Unfortunate. This guy, though, is now out of the fight. He has 1 HP left. He's going to bleed on the next turn. Unfortunately, Dismas can't do anything to the 3rd rank from right here. So we're going to go ahead and end this guy's life.
Perhaps the turning point.
Yeah, it does leave a corpse. Okay. So guys no longer move forward on their own. I tell you what, I'm going to shift his position. And I'm assuming I could attack the corpse to get rid of it. But Dismas does have a long-range attack that should be able to deal with this back row Fusilier here. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to go ahead and attack the corpse. Okay. So I'm assuming, you know, if I do 15 damage to it, it is going to move forward on its own. Oh, and I might get the chance to, as I didn't quite get it done with that one. Now let's go ahead and smite the corpse. breaking it up, moving him forward. Very interesting. I'd say that's actually going to be...
Confidence surges
I don't know.
as the enemy
The only
crumbles.
time it's really advantageous to us is when our characters die, that it's going to keep our back row in the right spot. I don't know that I would consider that much of an advantage. We were victorious, though, and we got some loot for it. The sapphire is very nice. And additionally, a trinket, which is going to be really the only kind of equipment that we're going to be doing in the Darkest Dungeon. And as you can see, it has both advantages and disadvantages, raising our accuracy, but reducing our dodge chance. We'll go ahead and loot all of that. And we get the quest completion. Ooh, very nice. This screen has changed. It now just gives you a return to Hamlet option right there. It used to be that you would have to continue adventuring and then click on quest complete, but now it just gives you the option right there. We're going to go ahead and click on this. This is actually a terrible idea. It's right there in the title, Bandits Trapped Chest, but it's trapped and it blighted us. It doesn't matter though, because we can leave the quest right away. And here's our victory screen. So in addition to the collected treasure, we also just got a base reward for completing this mission of 5,000 gold. And our characters both reached level 1 and also gained some quirks of their own. So Weapon Tinkerer is going to take off some of the cost of upgrading his weapon. Warren's Explorer increases scouting chance of the Warrens. We'll talk about that later. And griping in the guts, right? Yeah. That is new, and it's also colored differently as a camping negative. And I'm guessing the color is because of the new disease system that was introduced in this patch. So we're looking at negative 20% heal skills while camping. And I wonder if we've got to do something different to get rid of that than the normal bad quirks.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
All right, as you can see here, we're in the activity log right now for the Red Estate. This is what happened in week 1. Basically, Dismas and Renauld got us back to our estate safely. One thing I will point out, we are not either of these guys, we're not either of these characters. We are the heir to the estate. And so if these guys die, we're going to live on. It's our job just to do a little bit of recruiting here. We can click here to revisit any of the previous story points, to replay the cutscenes and see our progression along in the game. We've also got some other places to check out, highlighted right now with exclamation points. I'm going to let our narrator explain them.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
All right, merciful oblivion. Yeah, that sounds pleasant. And also a stagecoach, which is going to be super important, especially at this early stage of the game.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
All right. Now, this very first time, these guys are always going to be set in stone. We're going to be gaining a Plague Doctor and a Vestal. It's as good a time as any to talk about the classes we've got so far, and then we can just introduce the other ones as they appear. So, Renauld is kind of set in stone for every starting character. He's going to have Warrior of Light, God-fearing, and Kleptomaniac as a Crusader. It's kind of interesting to think about that. So, he is a Warrior of Light. He is God-fearing, but he's also prone to stealing. Maybe he went on the Crusades with a little bit of selfishness in his eye. And then, of course, we picked up Weapon Tinker due to the results of the first mission. The Crusader is only really suitable to being in the first 2 ranks, which we're seeing over here in the combat skills, and he's only really good at attacking the first 2 ranks of the enemy party. He does have some other skills that can do some back row stuff like Holy Lance here, which might be worth picking up later. But for right now, he's just got these 4 skills unlocked. Bulwark of Faith gives him kind of a self buff. It increases your torchlight and gives him 25% protection, meaning he takes less incoming damage. It also marks him, making him a more appealing target to our enemies. Stunning Blow, which we did see, has a chance to stun, although it has only 1/3 of the normal damage of one of his attacks, a damage modifier negative 67% there. And then Zealous Accusation, which can hit the first 2 ranks, but does only 60% of his normal damage. And then, his regular go-to Smite, which is just a single target attack, does do additional damage to Unholy. Dismas, our Highwayman, again, I believe he's always going to start off with Hard Noggin and Quick Reflexes, as well as being a known cheat. And then we gained a Warren Explorer after our first mission. The Highwayman, less suited to being in the front line or the back line in this configuration. He's got kind of a mix. He's carrying a pistol as well as a short sword. So from the back, he can pistol shot, he can grape shot blast, he can take aim from anywhere in order to give himself a self buff, and then open vein can only be used from the front 3 ranks of the party. Not a huge damage, but the bleed can really stack up, which is pretty nice. The skills he doesn't have are Duelist Advance, which is something that allows him to jump forward from the back of the party. Point Blank Shot, which pushes him backwards and can only be used from the very front. And Wicked Slice, which is basically open vein without the damage penalty and the bleed chance. And then we're going to learn a little bit about a Plague Doctor here.
What better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
Now, Fitton is completely randomized, except for the class choice. Warren Explorer and Necromania, fascinated with corpses, which is very fitting for our Plague Doctor. Now, she is going to be best used from the back of the party with things like Noxious Blast and Plague Grenade, doing blight status effects on the enemy. She's also got some buffing, Emboldening Vapors to give one of our party additional damage and speed, and Disorienting Blast, which does no damage, clears all corpses. So that's going to be a new effect that has, and make it a little bit better than it's been in the past. Used to just shuffle somebody around but do no damage, but I could definitely see the clearing corpses being a little bit better now. And then the Vestal.
A sister of battle, pious and unrelenting.
All right, and the Vestal is thick-blooded, but caught off guard on the first round. So she's got additional blight resistance, but she's slow and doesn't dodge very well in the first turn of combat. And she is also set up to be used in the back rank with things like Judgment as a ranged attack that self-heals. She's got Divine Grace, which is a single-target party heal. We can use it on any of our own characters to heal 3 to 5. Also, Divine Comfort, which is a party heal for 1 to 2, healing everybody in the party for 1 or 2 points of damage. We can level these up later and they'll be more effective. And then from the very front, she can Hand of Light, which does okay damage with a negative 50% damage modifier, but it's also got a debuff attached to it so that it debuffs whoever it hits. And then it does do additional damage versus Unholy, which will be nice. Now, that is going to be our starting party here. We're going to go ahead and check out the embark screen.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
But starting out, we've only got this one ruins location we could go to. Actually, before we head to the ruins, almost forgot, we're going to head back to the stagecoach here. I do want to go ahead and upgrade it before we go on, so we can increase the number of slots that it's going to have available and increase the size of our roster. Right now we're at 4 of 9. Before we do our first adventure...
Word is traveling. Ambition is stirring in distant cities. We can use this.
We're going to spread the word and spread some of that ambition in distant cities. That way we're going to have 4 new recruits whenever we get back here next week. And then on the embark screen, we're going to be able to do some roster setup stuff here. Like so. The usual suspects. My assumption being that is the party you're anticipated to use starting out. Or the slight variant, Red Hook, a nod to the developers of the game. We are actually not going to head out on this first adventure in this episode, though. I'm going to go ahead and wait on that for next time. I do hope you guys enjoyed this and are looking forward to this series as much as I am. If you'd like to continue to see it, feel free to subscribe to see more videos daily. Leave a like or a comment if you have anything to say about this or any of my other episodes, and I will catch you guys next time.